Husband astonished at bold move from waitress after his wife had to leave dinner. Heading down to your local pizza joint to grab a bite to eat is rarely a momentous occasion. Yet, for the family you're about to meet, it was life-changing. Jackie Johnson Smith, her husband, and her 3 young children decided to treat themselves to a meal out on a day that had been filled with all the frantic activity young families are used to. Little did they know, this simple decision was about to lead them into an event that would affect not just them, but the world at large. If you're curious to know what could possibly happen at a pizza shop that would captivate people across the globe, you're not alone. This story fascinates everyone who hears about it, and with a life-improving message contained in its conclusion, this is one of those times when satisfying your curiosity is truly worth it. Listen on to learn how a heat-of-the-moment decision by a pizza shop waitress changed this young mom's life. When Jackie and her family were both enjoying a dinner at a local restaurant, her youngest child began getting finicky. Picking up on what the baby needed, she began to breastfeed at the table without thinking twice. After all, they were at a family-friendly restaurant with kids and parents everywhere, and her tiny infant was just a few months old. However, Jackie noticed one of the waitresses was keeping an eye on her. Feeling self-conscious, she decided to continue feeding her baby in their car. While she was gone, the waitress slipped a note to her husband with the check. This letter, according to Jackie, left her in total shock with tears in her eyes. Listen on to learn what the waitress did and why it left Jackie so shell-shocked. Jackie and her husband hadn't left the house for anything other than work in ages. This was why they decided to go to the restaurant that day. Having 3 children requires a lot of work and more time than anyone has in a single day. The couple needed a break from the endless stress, even if it was just for an hour or 2. They chose to dine at Fong's, a pizza place situated on 4th Street in Des Moines, Iowa. Fong's had the perfect combination of being close by and having super tasty food. However, their youngest was getting fussy, making it hard for Jackie to appreciate her meal. While the other 2 kids were having fun at the restaurant, the youngest had just woken from a nap and so was restless. This put Jackie in a frustrating situation because she couldn't focus on her food while her little one was upset. Fortunately, she knew that there were only 3 likely causes for his crankiness. She is a mother after all. The most likely cause of his restlessness was hunger. However, she hadn't brought formula with her. Jackie's motherly instincts took over and she started breastfeeding him on the spot. However, this soon led to an awkward situation. Not everyone is open to the idea of breastfeeding in public. Jackie and her family were at Fong's, which, despite being a family-friendly restaurant, is a public space where you need to be considerate of other people's needs as well as your own. On the subject of breastfeeding, the world is divided. There are those who see it as natural and therefore okay to do anywhere, and then there are those who will judge mothers who do it in public, insisting it should be conducted behind closed doors. Jackie soon felt the need to leave her family's table and find a more secluded breastfeeding spot. But what could be the reason? Indeed, there are mothers who proudly insist that breastfeeding their child in public is natural and should be normalized. They believe anyone who takes issue with this just needs to be given more information on the subject so they can be more understanding. Though they may be sexualized, a woman's breasts are responsible for nurturing new lives. Jackie had felt self-conscious and uncomfortable about breastfeeding in public with her first 2 kids. But by the 3rd, she was far more laid back. With 3 kids, it's just not practical to care too much what strangers think of you. Yet, at Fong's, something happened to bring back those old insecurities. Jackie was the one who chose Fong's that day, not because she anticipated breastfeeding there, but because she knew it was a place where her older kids could have fun. She explained, "I usually don't go downtown for dinner because lots of places aren't family-friendly." Indeed, the other 2 children were loving the food and having a brilliant time. Unfortunately, the youngest was harder to please. Knowing most, if not all, the people around her had raised kids and so were familiar with breastfeeding, Jackie thought nothing of engaging in this nurturing act. Still wanting to be conservative and considerate, Jackie covered herself and started breastfeeding the infant. She would have thought twice about it if she was in another downtown restaurant, but the vibe at Fong's made it feel fine. "I usually don't like to breastfeed in public because people can be judgmental," Jackie shared. However, soon after her little one started feeding, something caught her attention and urged her to get out of there. There was someone suspiciously watching Jackie as she breastfed her baby. She brushed it off at first, assuming it couldn't possibly be malicious, while also feeling relieved that the youngest has stopped fussing. Then, she noticed a waitress looking at them from across the restaurant. Once again, Jackie tried to brush it off, but eventually it made her uncomfortable enough that she decided it would be best to finish breastfeeding her baby in the car. So she got up and left. In an email interview, Jackie shared, "The waitress kept walking by, and I was worried she didn't want me nursing in the restaurant." Jackie herself was raised on formula, but breastfeeding for her was a journey that she considered to be deeply personal with endless woes and triumphs. Despite her strong feelings about breastfeeding, in that moment, Jackie just wasn't in the mood for fighting for her rights. At the end of the day, she didn't own the establishment, and they're free to set their own rules. Jackie was not about to become a social justice warrior. She and her husband just wanted to relax with their kids. So she voluntarily got up to continue feeding her child in the car. She was more concerned about preventing the family from being kicked out of the restaurant. If going to the car meant preventing a scene and preserving the happiness of their fun family outing, it was worth the sacrifice. Jackie didn't even want the waitress to finally come up to her and ask her kindly to stop breastfeeding her baby. She just wanted her family to enjoy their food in peace. The baby was restless as Jackie collected herself before heading to the parking lot, but he settled down as soon as she started walking. Nevertheless, she was intent on her plan to head to the car and avoid the unpleasant words she felt brewing if she continued breastfeeding in the restaurant. Little did the family know that the waitress had something different on her mind, and she revealed her plan in a note left on the family's receipt. Jackie was gone by that time, so her husband was the one who received it, and he was shocked. Jackie's husband rushed out of the restaurant with their 2 other kids after paying the bill. He needed Jackie to see the note. After she read it, the pair looked at each other in astonishment. "I was in total shock and started tearing up," Jackie shared. Far from being judgmental, the waitress thanked Jackie for breastfeeding and even paid for one of their pizzas. "After dealing with people's reactions for so long, it was like the universe was giving me a pat on the back. I was too stunned to go back inside and thank the waitress," Jackie went on. It's uncommon to receive positive feedback for breastfeeding in public. Though, if you think about it, this should not be out of the ordinary, because nursing a child is a natural and wonderful thing. Of course, this doesn't mean we should all start interrupting breastfeeding mothers to congratulate them. Bodhi was the waitress's name, and she explained later on, "I noticed Jackie was nursing and was so thrilled that she did it. I tried not to stare because I didn't want to seem creepy or make her feel uncomfortable, but I felt like doing jumping jacks." Jackie appreciated Bodhi's gesture so much. She took to her Facebook account to express her gratitude to the waitress. "I've breastfed 3 children. I've breastfed them in a countless number of places, both pleasant and unpleasant, discreetly and out in the open," she wrote. "I've gotten many looks and stares, but tonight erases any negativity I have ever received. I ate at Fong's for the first time tonight," she added. Little did she know that her pleasant experience would strike a chord. Once again, she was astonished as her simple thank you went viral. Jackie continued in her viral post, "I was speechless and emotional. Although I don't need a pat on the back for feeding my child, it sure felt amazing. It's amazing how we women can make each other feel when we empower each other." There's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child, and the empathy that came from this stranger is evidence of the truth in this old adage. This also poses a reminder that random acts of kindness can have immeasurable value. Of course, this action can't be taken as a general rule. Under different circumstances, you could come off as creepy if you make a habit of thanking and rewarding breastfeeding women. If it's natural, great, but never force the issue. Bodhi's situation was unique and well handled. She opted not to approach Jackie and instead commend her by paying for one of her pizzas. The note then expressed support, gratitude, and empathy. Bodhi, who was also a mom, knew exactly what Jackie was going through. She explained, "I nurse my baby no matter where I am." She added that she could be buying groceries or shopping for new clothes. If her child needs nourishment, it's getting fed. People often react negatively. Recently, I had to leave my daughter's school play to nurse my 8-month-old for fear of offending someone. I wanted to let this woman know in some shape or form that she was doing the right thing, Bodhi continued. Breastfeeding moms want acceptance. You may have been raised in formula or fed your child in this manner, but breastfeeding an infant is still a natural method. Women who take this path want to be respected, and they want the needs of their children respected too. This was why Jackie felt the urge to return to Fong's after her husband handed her the note. She didn't do this right away though. Instead, she found a better way to thank Bodhi in person. She found Bodhi's husband's account on Facebook. After coming across Bodhi's husband on the platform, she did not hesitate in sending her thankfulness. She reached out and told him, "Please thank your wife for me. I should have re-entered the restaurant and thanked her in person. I still should." Jackie added, "She touched me in a place in my heart that is so tender, so raw and rooted, and so very proud. Unbeknownst to her at the time, it was also my 33rd birthday." Indeed, what's a more wonderful gift to someone celebrating his or her birthday than kindness and free pizza? Jackie was able to tell Bodhi that her small, genuine gesture managed to touch the hearts of women from all around the country. According to Jackie, society has put breastfeeding in jeopardy, and this was why her simple post became such a viral attraction. Most breastfeeding women feel the public should change their views regarding nursing children. Not only should the act itself be normalized, but mothers should also be made to feel comfortable when they need to nurse in public. Women can work towards this by empowering each other. Jackie was interviewed about her viral post and shared some unpleasant experiences from the past. "I've definitely been made to feel uncomfortable and unwanted. I've encountered countless stares and obvious looks of distaste and discomfort." She added, "I once overheard a woman mentioning how there were nursing rooms available in the mall while I sat near her nursing my son with a cover on. I had people leave the room because they were so uncomfortable with me nursing in their presence. This was rude, but this is just a small chunk of a much larger issue." Jackie further pointed out that there are more and more nursing mothers every day, but do we see them nursing in public? Society has scared these mothers to be afraid to nurse in public. She revealed the inner workings of a breastfeeding mom's mind. Will they be the next woman to be asked to stop or leave? Will she get confronted by a stranger who disapproves of how or where she's feeding her child? Nursing mothers are often seen as self-righteous as we band together. In the email interview, Jackie expressed hope that breastfeeding women will receive more acceptance and that her fellow moms will one day be able to be worry-free when nursing a child in public. We're often misunderstood. Do we think breastfeeding is best? Of course we do, but it isn't a "we're better than you" thing. It is very much an equality thing, she wrote. "I would never want to make a woman feel inferior or uncomfortable about her parenting choices. It is our right and our choice, yet we're always scrutinized for it. Society has made breasts sexual and people cannot cope with normalizing them," she continued. Jackie's email revealed her confusion regarding how people view breastfeeding in public. She said, "It still astonishes me how something so natural and rooted in nature can be so misconstrued by society. Society doesn't bat an eyelash at any other mammal nursing her young." She certainly had a point there. It's often oohed and awed about even at zoos and petting farms, but women don't get that same support. Nonetheless, she shared that her experience at Fong's was special. "I may have been longing for it far longer than I could have realized," she revealed. Jackie shared in her email a special message she sent to Bodhi, relayed through the latter's spouse. "I felt an amazing sense of belonging and optimism that day because of your wife's beautiful sentiment that is still carrying me days later. I couldn't even fathom 2 nights ago how many people my post would and could touch." Women across the country are tearing up and being touched by it because breastfeeding is so innately personal and society has made it so vulnerable. Indeed, Jackie's wonderful experience was empowering and relatable to a ton of women who are experiencing the same distaste. Jackie's post taking off is proof of the need to normalize breastfeeding in public. And all of this took off because Bodhi had the heart and courage to make a sincere gesture to a random mom. Though Bodhi's gesture may have been small, it had a monumental impact. Her act of kindness was as beautiful as it was refreshing, and it carries with it a message for the rest of society. Imagine what our lives would be like if we all suspended judgment and decided to support and empower each other instead. Jackie added that formula feeders can nurse their children anytime and any place. Of course, this is because nobody gets offended by a bottle. "No one thinks our babies shouldn't be fed either, but they're often quick to let us know that they want us to take it somewhere else, where they don't have to see it," she continued. However, Jackie believes that formula feeders aren't excluded from this movement. The most important part is when everyone supports both and respects a mother's choice to do what she feels best. In the Philippines, breastfeeding is protected by laws like the Milk Code, which aims to promote and protect breastfeeding practice through the regulation and use of formula milk, breast milk substitutes, and products like feeding bottles and teats. Breastfeeding moms are also protected by the Expanded Breastfeeding Promotion Act of 2009. Employers must allow breastfeeding employees to take breaks when their child needs to be fed. The laws also state that public places like schools, shops, and offices must provide stations where mothers can nurse their baby or express breast milk. An interesting and important feature of this legislation is that these areas must be separate from bathrooms. Almost all of America's states, including Washington, D.C. and the Virgin Islands, have laws that allow breastfeeding women to nurse their children in public. Breastfeeding mothers from Virginia and South Dakota are also exempted from nudity and indecency laws. Idaho has enacted the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, giving mothers the right to breastfeed anywhere. The act offers workplace protection for breastfeeding workers, although there are no state-level breastfeeding laws yet. Enacted in 2010, the British Equality Act legislates against discrimination towards breastfeeding moms. Discrimination includes declining to provide service, providing service on different terms, and providing a lower quality service. So, for example, a restaurant owner cannot legally refuse to serve a breastfeeding woman, and they are not permitted to ask her to stop or leave the premises. Women in the UK are free to breastfeed in public transport, sporting facilities, parks, restaurants, shops, theaters, hospitals, petrol stations, and most other public spaces. In most European countries, public breastfeeding is legal and widely accepted. In Ireland, breastfeeding whenever necessary, although not directly mentioned, is protected under the Equal Status Act of 2000. The law aims to protect people from harassment and discrimination. In Germany, breastfeeding in public is widely accepted since the so-called movement of 1968. In addition, the Basic Law for the Federal Republic of Germany states that the care and upbringing of children is the natural right of parents and entitles every mother to the protection and care of the community.